Hello and welcome to A Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green. Pope Francis today puzzling many of the faithful, saying that the separation of a husband and wife may be, quote, inevitable or even morally necessary to protect the weaker spouse or small children. And Francis made those statements during his weekly general audience at the Vatican, but it comes as the Church prepares for its hugely anticipated meeting on the family in the fall. Does this mean the Pope is okay with divorce? Well, here to explain is Dr. Jay Richards, Assistant Research Professor at Catholic University of America. Welcome to you, Dr. Richards.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
So is this, these statements by the Pope, is it showing that the Pope is softening the Catholic Church on the issue of divorce?
I don't think at all. I mean, there's several signals the Pope has given on this, but I think actually this is a fairly ordinary statement. If you look at exactly what he said, he was talking about separation, so he did not use the word divorce. And so what he says in the general audience yesterday is perfectly consistent with what we've got in the Catechism and canon law. He's talking about a situation, for instance, where you might have an abusive husband and the wife and children simply need to get away from him for their own safety. And canon law already provides for that, and that's clearly what he was talking about here. He didn't say anything about divorce, even though actually in Catholic doctrine you can have a civil divorce, which is a different thing from divorce and remarriage. That's when you get into trouble according to Catholic doctrine.
So he didn't use the word separation. We mean the media sort of jumping ahead thinking that he meant divorce. But isn't this, though, part of his sort of demeanor in that he seems to be softening on a lot of these issues concerning the Catholic Church?
Well, I don't think he's changing anything doctrinal, and that's sort of the key thing. I do think his tone is pastoral. I think he is saying things in anticipation of this important meeting that's going to be happening in Rome here in October. But what he's saying here is nothing radical. It might sound radical if we don't have a clear distinction between physical separation, which he's talking about, and actual divorce or divorce and remarriage. And so I do think he's going to broach these things, especially in his general audience, things about marriage and family, precisely because here in a few months we're going to be talking about family in Rome, and that's what he's coming to the United States to talk about in September. I think it's a mistake if we treat this as some kind of breach or some kind of shift in what Catholic teaching has always been.
It sounds like he's just being aware of the reality of how people live.
Absolutely, and I mean, he knows that, and certainly in the West, even more in Europe, a lot of people cohabit, either don't marry at all or they're living together for several years before they marry, and so he's speaking into that context. And I think what he's doing is he's not changing Catholic doctrine, he's just speaking in such a way that he can apply long-standing Catholic teaching to our current situation. But I do think there's a tendency in the media to sort of jump on anything Pope Francis says and to assume that, okay, well, he's getting ready to change some major doctrine. I think there's no evidence of that at all.
So the Synod on the Family coming in October in Rome, and then before that, the visit to the U.S. with the World Meeting of Families. Can we expect any major changes from how the Catholic Church views divorced and remarried couples, couples living together, or gay couples, anything on that line? I mean, what are we going to see from him?
We're not going to see a change on the basic Christian and Catholic teaching about the nature of marriage, about the nature of marriage involving a man and a woman. The one thing that's actually somewhat up for debate is sort of the pastoral practice having to do with people that have at least civilly divorced and remarried and are coming to church. What can we do with them? That's sort of the issue. And the question is always then, is there a way or a pathway in which they could receive communion or not? That's the sort of narrow debate that we're having in Catholic Church, and I wouldn't want to guess as to how that's going to turn out, but we should not expect that there's going to suddenly be a 180-degree turn in what the Church has always taught about the nature of marriage.
But the whole idea about the family, he is actually trying to strengthen the family as it applies to all things economic, psychological, social. Is that what he's trying to do?
It's exactly what he's trying to do. If you read his new encyclical, for instance, which everyone's talking about, people don't realize there's a huge section in the middle talking about the idea of a human ecology, that just as we're concerned about our natural environment, we need to be concerned about the environment for the family and the health of the family within society. He's actually very strong on this point, and I think sometimes the media doesn't pick up on the strong statement he makes on marriage because it doesn't always sort of fit the pattern that he's a reformer. Yes, he's speaking to our modern situation, but he's defending quite clearly, if you listen to him speak on the family, the traditional Catholic teaching on this question.
All right, I want to thank you very much, Dr. Jay Richards from Catholic University of America. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And you want to check out foxnews.com for more on this story. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.